How's it going, guys? So it's been a little over a week since my first podcast, basically just an introduction to what the podcast is going to be about. And I figured it was time to make the first official one that was actually focused on something, which will be the Road to the Civil War comic, which leads to basically covers three big things that happen in the Civil War. Which is where most of my Marvel series will be starting from. That and House of M. Possibly I'll go over Annihilation, but I'm not sure at this moment. I'm thinking I'm probably going to go from the events of House of M and Civil War forward. So, that being said, the road to the Civil War goes over three main storylines that connect to the Civil War, or connect around the Civil War. First, you have the Illuminati, then you have the Fantastic Four, and then you have a Spider-Man issue. So I'll go over the Illuminati first. There are three issues shown. The first one goes over the conceiving of the Illuminati, I suppose, where Iron Man gathers Charles Xavier, T'Challa, Black Panther, Doctor Stephen Strange, Reed Richards, Black Bolt. I don't think I'm missing anyone. Oh, Nameron, of course. But that's everyone. I'm pretty sure. I said Black Bolt. Yeah, I said Black Bolt. Okay. So everyone was there, and they basically said, well, we all had pieces of this information. Oh, this was the pre Skrull and what are those people called? Kree. There we go. Skrull and Kree War, which is a comic that took place a long time ago, I believe. Um, so they said, well, you know what? If we work together, maybe we could have pooled our information together, and we could have worked this thing out. Maybe not necessarily a large group like everyone all together working together, but maybe just a small group among us elites that we can all share information and pass things along. The only one that seemed to disagree with this at this point was T'Challa, saying that when they find out about it, they'll come for you. And that's kind of key because that plays into something later on in World War Hulk, but we'll explain that once he makes the Illuminati. Hulk comes back to Earth basically and makes the puts the Illuminati on blast. But we'll get over that because we'll go to our second crime, which is the conceiving, or I guess not the second crime. The second piece of the Illuminati arc is where they're talking about uh, sending Bruce Banner into space, like sending him through a warp that the Hulk becomes too unstable and he can't control himself, and innocent people end up dying. So the Illuminati ends up coming to the decision, all except for Nameron, that they should shoot him into space through a rocket. And then this is where you start to see like the real cracks of the Illuminati starting to like start making its way in. Nameron effectively is like basically the Illuminati is breaking up slowly and surely. What ends up happening is Nameron says you're all fools, and when he comes back, he'll kill you all. Um, they go through with the plan. They shoot Bruce Banner into space, and the events of Planet Hulk take place. Um, and we'll talk about that in a different time. But that is important because that does lead to an event called World War Hulk, which comes just after what's it called? Which comes just after Civil War, I believe. So what ends up happening is the third and final issue that comes up in the Illuminati set is they are talking is Tony Stark comes forward to the mutants. I think it's about 8 months before the Hero Registration Act is passed, and he shows everybody a copy of it, saying that this is going to pass. People are going to be forced to sign, or they're going to be arrested. And what Tony Stark said or thinks that they should do is get in front of it all together, full support, and say, yes, we agree to this. We think this is a good idea. We should all register for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And this kind of splits the room in many different ways. I mean, it's not like Nameron isn't really worried about it because he's in Atlantis. Like, you won't come for me, and if you do, it's an act of war. I don't believe Charles Xavier was there. I think he was missing because of the events of House of M. uh, Doctor Strange disagrees, and he says, "Well, basically, never call on me again," and just teleports out of there. Reed Richards, Tony Stark, and Black Bolt, I believe, are left, and Black Bolt's on the moon. Actually, I don't even know if Black Bolt's in the room. Actually, now that I think about it, let me double check that. I mean, Black Bolt can't talk because Black Bolt's powers are, you know, he'll just blow up everything basically. Oh no, no, yeah, Black Bolt's still there, but basically sounds like it gives him like a like a little finger wag basically. Doesn't look too approving, but you can't really tell because he can't really say anything. He's just kind of like, yeah. Anyway, so Reed Richards and ends up leaving the room and says, you know, it was fun while it lasted. It was fun doing this while it lasted. And he says, yeah, it really was. Which takes us to the end of the Illuminati section of the before of the Road to Civil War, and takes us on to the Fantastic Four section. Now, this Fantastic Four section was really neat. It was a Doctor Doom sort of arc, where basically what happened is I think well it was the not the War of Realms. What is it? But the maybe it was Ragnarok. I can't remember exactly what event was going on at this time, but the hammer of Thor went through hell or whatever, and he felt or Doctor Doom felt the Asgardian power. So he sought out Thor's hammer, which I guess was in on Earth, and he went to go wield it, and the Fantastic Four are desperately trying to stop him. And the second he gets to it, he realizes, oh, I don't understand why I thought it called to me. I thought all this was, proven. So after the Fantastic Four are done trashing a bunch of Doom bots and Doom takes off, all that's really left there is Thor's hammer, and what that leads to is I can't remember the exact name of it, but they have Thor's hammer, and they have a single strand of hair. So what I believe ends up happening is they effectively clone Thor, and they end up using him in the fight during the Civil War. But we'll go over the significance of that, and why that's so damning, I guess. At another time, probably during Civil War when we cover the event that actually took place. But basically what the only other thing you need to know is that Thor's hammer has fallen to Earth, and Reed Richards basically can clone Thor. Not that actually, I don't even think that's gone over in this issue. The ability to clone Thor. Dude, Reed, this isn't gonna go like Bowling Boys. Yeah, how'd it go? Oh yeah, yeah. They're talking about This is right before the. Yeah, yeah. They're talking about the Hero Registration Act, and then they get called out to go stop Doom with the hammer and whatnot. And then you have the Peter Parker side of the story, where Peter Parker is becoming closer with Tony Stark, and they're talking about the Hero Registration Act. There's a assassination attempt on Tony Stark. Peter Parker stops him with the new spider suit. I believe it's brought up to him. It's like, would you give your identity away? And it's like, well, I don't know, probably not. Yeah, which is hilarious given what ends up happening later after he develops this kind of close bond with Tony Stark. So these sort of storylines end up kind of approaching sort of climaxes and sort of important events that take place within the Civil War and sort of directly after the Civil War. It's a really good read. I found it really interesting, especially going into the Civil War. It was kind of nice to know a little bit of backstory on what was going on, and this is why they had that. So that it is always nice because comics are super weird, and if you don't have all the backstory in terms of what's going on, I've read other events where it's like, well, what the hell? Who's this guy? What's going on here? If you don't have like all the backstory, it can be a little bit convoluted to I don't know, navigate. Uh, is it a buy? Is it a buy to read? Interesting. If you don't already have it, I would say, and you like Marvel Comics, specifically the Civil War event, I would say yeah, absolutely. The Civil War event was really good. If you really like that kind of arc, this is kind of fits in well. It's all the kind of political undertones and like the real sort of dilemma on top of it, given Peter's side of that story. Kind of shows like the more legal aspect of it, I guess, because they're so focused in the courtroom. Um, yeah, I would buy it. I would rate it. I would rate it well. I would say if you're going to buy any of them, buy the Civil War and read the Civil War. But if you've already read the Civil War, this is like a good one to read to kind of give you a little more backstory on what was going on all before that. So yeah, that's the first one today. Thank you for checking in, and see you next time.